There are millions of people who have played Minecraft before, and for some reason, 5 of the only people on this planet who haven't played it before are in charge of making this movie. I wasn't expecting anything amazing from this movie, right? Like, we all saw the trailers. We knew. But I was at least hoping it was going to be, like, good bad, right? Like, I could at least look at it and be like, oh, this is not great, but, like, I can at least enjoy this. The FNAF movie is not, like, a good movie, right? I think we all were kind of aware of that when we saw it. But it was like a good Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It did all the things to make the fan base happy, and it was at least passable, right? There was a lot of filmmaking things that the movie did that weren't like all the way there, but I at least understood, like, I saw the characters on the screen in like a decently satisfying way to appease the video game part of my brain. But the Minecraft movie does not do any of that. There's no centralized theme to anything that this movie does, right? Like, they kind of try to hit on, like, oh, creativity, but they're trying to have all 4 of the main characters have, you know, a satisfying arc throughout this movie, so they don't really hit or hammer home any sort of centralized theme throughout this movie. I knew they were going to take some creative liberties with this movie so that it could at least work story or plot-wise, right? But what they do with creative liberties is not satisfying at all. The fact that one of the main characters makes a tater tot gun in the movie does not make me happy. And like, it's one thing for the rules of the universe to not follow the game logic, right? For some like tension, you don't want them respawning and like death to be okay in this movie, right? Like, I understand that for those reasons, right? You can't follow one-to-one the game logic. But for example, one of the main characters, his whole thing's like, oh, my stupid video game shop is going out of business, I need money, right? So like, he blackmails Steve and is like, get me some diamonds so I can get some money, right? And so they take a detour to go to these diamonds instead of going directly to whatever location they're going to, right? But like, there's a scene of them fighting of like, there was no reason we needed to go get those diamonds. Those diamonds were so unnecessary. Dude, you're going to a woodland mansion with no weapons. You actually did need to go get those diamonds, right? Just not like, you didn't do anything with them. What's the point? When like an in-game... Okay, let me cool down for a second. Let me cool down. It's fine to not follow the logic directly, but when later in the movie, you're gonna have this scene of them getting a bunch of diamond weapons and mining a bunch of diamonds to fight the final boss of the movie, you can't also have a scene in the movie being like, diamonds are useless, we don't need these diamonds for anything. You did! You used it for the final boss fight! And I think even beyond like this being like a bad Minecraft movie, it's also like a bad movie in general, right? I think when a lot of these video game movies get made, there's like 2 ways to go about it. There's the FNAF way where you know it's going to be a shitty movie in general, but like you can at least appease to the fan base of the franchise, right? And then there's the other shitty way that most movies do this, where you make a movie for a general audience, ignore all the game stuff, but at least it's like generally passable as like a normal movie, right? And even in those cases, like I at least understand where the audience you're going for is, right? But this movie lives in this weird in-between realm where it doesn't quite appease to the fans of the game enough to like make it enjoyable for them, but it also doesn't appease to a general audience at all in a way to where they could understand and enjoy the movie. It lives in this limbo hell where it appeases to no one. This movie's made for no one. I think one of the craziest things I'm not seeing anyone talk about is there's a main character, his name is Henry, right? We're following this kid, his name's Henry throughout the entire movie. And then all of a sudden, when they get to the woodland mansion, I start like freaking out. Because all of a sudden, I'm hearing Jason Momoa's character start calling him Hank. And I'm like, am I crazy? Did they just start calling him Hank? Like, what's going on? They go through the entire woodland mansion scene and like, they get out and even Steve, you know, Jack Black, Steve comes out and he calls him Hank also. I'm like, am I going crazy? Why are they calling him Hank? But then later in the movie, they start calling him Henry again. I'm losing my shit. I'm like, they were just calling him Hank for no reason. And I realized something. I'm pretty sure they did reshoots for this movie, but I don't think they could get Jason Momoa to come back to do any of the reshoots. So any scene where the kid was originally named Hank for the movie stayed as Hank, which is pretty much every time Jason Momoa addresses this kid, except for when they're in the real world. Like, that's a base level continuity error that should be nowhere close to a movie with this budget. What's crazy too is it feels like half of this movie is literally just a Jason Momoa x Jack Black fan fiction. I lost all hope for everything about this movie as soon as there was a Jason Momoa Jack Black Elytra 69ing scene in the middle of the movie. And like, they really hammer that scene home. They're like, oh, you gotta get your nuts closer to my face. Hey, Jackie boy, you gotta stick your head deeper into my nutsack. Like, I couldn't believe that. What are you doing? I don't get it. Like, I wouldn't say don't go watch this movie. I think it's gonna be like a major milestone in the history of movies, and I guess video game movies being adapted. Like, that's how abhorrently bad this movie is. It was nice to see little cameos here and there. I can't say that there wasn't anything that didn't put a little smile on my face, right? I liked seeing Jeb as the waiter for the villager dating scene. There's also some jokes that I definitely was like, okay, that's genuinely funny. But I'm realizing it's all Jennifer Coolidge. When Jennifer Coolidge is like, oh no, I hit someone with my Jeep Grand Cherokee again. Like, that's funny to me. Yeah, there's like a few jokes here and there that are witty enough for me to laugh at, but pretty much everything else I laughed at is like a Jack Black vocal stim. But you pretty much get all of those in the trailer. There's like Slime Block and what was the other one? Vindicator. You know, those two were the only ones in the movie that I was like, okay, cool, awesome. Add that to my Jack Black vocal stim bank. General Chungus was fine. You know, as soon as I heard there was gonna be General Chungus, I was like, no, this can't be. And I realize now that actually General Chungus was the best character of the entire movie, and I wish he was in more of the movie. I hate the hairiness to everything in the movie. Like, I knew that for a studio to make a movie like this, that it was gonna have to look more realistic for them to kind of greenlight it and push it through. And in fact, like, the way that the blocks in the world looks actually wasn't that bad overall to me. The worst thing's all the items. Like, none of the items look like they really fit, like, in the real world or the video game world of this universe, right? The diamond swords don't look identifiable as diamond swords. Like, the golden apples don't really look identifiable as golden apples. Like, nothing of the individual items that show up in this movie look like anything from the game. You know you've done a bad job with making, like, the Minecraft world look right when in the epic final battle scene, Jack Black Steve shows up with his full set of diamond armor, and he looks like a goofy toddler from like a Spirit Halloween diamond armor costume. Like, that's crazy. Hold on, I need to pull out my phone. I need to look out. I need to figure this out. $150 million production budget, and it looks like this. Like, that's insane. Again, I will say, I was actually impressed with a lot of the visual effects. When they're flying with the elytras, I was like, wow, that actually looks like they're flying. You know, you can't always say that. But man, just overall, disappointing. And I knew I was going to be disappointed. Like, I just was hoping that it would at least be, like, fun bad, you know? I knew it was going to be bad. We all knew it was going to be bad. Like, as soon as we saw Chicken Jockey, like, we knew it was going to be bad. But just, like, this is, like, a whole different level of disappointing. For half the movie, I'm sitting there in the chair with my hand in my head, like, just disappointed at what I'm seeing. I don't even know how to end this. I can't believe it, man. Again, I don't really know what I was expecting, but in a movie set in a universe where you could do anything, it's crazy that they choose to do nothing. I think that says it all. Yeah, in a world where you could do anything, let's choose to do nothing. That's the end all be all of it, I guess.